Hi everybody, my name is Daisy Daniel. I am a personal resilience life coach coming to you every Monday and Thursday at 12 p.m. to do an impromptu read from the book, The Language of Letting Go. So I'm excited today to do this. Like I said, I do personal resilience life coaching, and for those of you that have never been on my website, the address is www.mymomentslc. LC stands for life coaching.com, so go there, take a look. What I wanted to do with these videos is do an impromptu read and reflection from that book and have it be a natural time of just talking about deep things. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, especially on a public forum, but you know, there's no pressure to talk, there's no pressure to comment. You could at least hear the reflection and maybe it will help you in some way. There's going to be no editing, so what happens, what I say, and I will eventually upload it to YouTube and my website as well. But for now, they live on my Facebook business page. So I would love for you to join me every day at this, not every day, Mondays and Thursdays at 12 o'clock. And the reason I chose 12 o'clock is because when I used to homeschool, I used to plow through the day. I homeschooled 3 kids. And I would only stop to eat at 12, and at 4 I would watch Oprah, and that was my only break. And the rest of the time I was working, you know, for my family, being a good homemaker that I was. I always said I was like Martha Stewart, married for 23 years, divorced now, but have 3 beautiful children, and now I'm also a teacher and certified teacher. So let's get right into it. But I did want to say, last week, on Thursday, and I mentioned it in last week's video, some of you will probably hear this later on the replay. Feel free to comment at any time, because I do go back and I look at all the comments, and we could talk further about the topic. But last week, my home got flooded for the second time in 2.5 months. And it's definitely a wake-up call, makes you wonder why these things happen. And although I might not have all the answers, I do know this. Don't ever ask God to be a personal resilience life coach, because what that means is you are telling people that you are an expert at resiliency, bouncing back from trauma, from abuse, from pain. And if I call myself an expert, guess what? I better have a lot of experience. So if you really don't like pain in your life, don't ever ask God to make you a personal resilience life coach, because He will allow some things to come into your life that are amazing. Amazing as far as a life lesson to learn to be resilient. And this, I think, was over the top. 2.5 months later to have... once everything was put back in place, all my electronics, everything in my home, if you can imagine your home being turned upside down, that's what happened. And it wasn't until maybe 2 weeks prior to the second flood that I finally said, wow, my life is getting back in order. And bam, it happened again. It's like, what in the world? But I was reading a Bible verse this morning, and I have the sticky note here. 2 Timothy 4:5, this Bible verse encouraged me. It says, as for you, always be sober-minded, endure suffering, do the work of an evangelist, and fulfill your ministry. And that encouraged me, because my passion is to do what I'm doing now. Talking to you guys, coaching women, helping children. And this verse reminded me to be sober-minded. That means now, with everything that's going on all around you, the chaos that you're witnessing around the world, probably even in your own family, the chaos. Be sober-minded. Your mind, you got to keep this sharp, okay? And these little reflections that we do will definitely help keep your mind sharp. Endure suffering. We're all going to go through suffering. Viktor Frankl, if you haven't read his work, he was suffered at the hands, he was Jewish, and he suffered during World War II with Nazis, and suffered in the concentration camps. And he says that there's always a lesson to learn through your suffering and to stay hopeful, because the people that he saw around him that stayed hopeful and had something to look forward to, they kept their hope alive, whether it be a family member that they would see again or going back to their home, whatever it was. Those were the people that survived. And then he'd watched so many others just die right before his eyes because they had no hope. So it's very important to keep the hope. So be sober-minded, endure suffering, do the work of an evangelist. What does an evangelist do? Spreads good news, you know, and fulfill your ministry, which is really your calling, what God has called you to do. Do it well, fulfill it. And that encouraged me today, because it doesn't matter what situation I'm in. Right now, I'm in the room where I grew up, not as a child, but as a teenager. We moved to this house back in 1986, so I'm actually in the bedroom where I lived, you know, as a teenager. And now it's my little sister's room, but they were so gracious to let me come, set up camp in her room. We had to basically move her stuff out, me move my stuff in, and I'm here doing this Facebook Live now in my room that I lived in when I was a teenager. So it's all good, guys. It's all good. What we consider suffering, really, in the long run, you look back, and there were things that came from that suffering that were good. It's not all bad. And so I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged today. So let's get right into the reading. I'm going to get my glasses. Let's see where we're at. Oh, today, I get so excited because I never know what I'm going to read, because it is impromptu. Today is balance. Here we go. The goal is balance. We need balance between work and play. I'm on page 115, by the way, for those of you that bought the book. We need balance between giving and receiving. We need balance in thought and feelings. We need balance in caring for our physical self and our spiritual self. This is a short one. A balanced life has harmony between a professional life and personal life. There may be times when we need to climb mountains at work. There may be times when we put extra energy into our relationship, but the overall picture needs balance. Just as a balanced nutritional diet takes into account the realm of our nutritional needs to stay healthy, a balanced life takes into account all our needs. Our need for friends, work, love, family, play, private time, recovery time, spiritual time, which is time with God. If we get out of balance, our inner voice will tell us we need to listen. And here's the little prayer. Today I will examine my life and to see if the scales have swung too far in any area, or not far enough in some. I will work toward achieving balance. Wow. Any of you who are hearing this right now, have there been times in your life where you are not balanced in the areas? Let me list them again. Friends, work, love, family, play, private time, recovery time, spiritual time. Take inventory. Ask yourself, am I balanced in all these areas? I think we go through seasons where you might not be equally balanced with all those things, but sometimes you're way too heavy on one side. I think now with the pandemic, so many people being at home, it's very easy to get emotionally distant from people. It's super easy because you've already trained yourself to be at home, to not go out as much. If you get the thought to call someone, you might be like, well, I might be bothering them. Let me not call them. And little by little, you interact less with people. Next thing you know, you're depressed. And so you have to really be on top of having a balanced life. This was a nice little read. I'm going to go back and talk about the parts I underlined. So we need balance. She started off by saying the goal is balance. All right, so one of your life goals should be to strive for balance. And it isn't always going to happen. So like right now, my life isn't balanced. My life right now is in chaos. And I go back and forth between chaos and trying to strive for stability and balance. But life happens, and you can't control things. Just like I couldn't control my cottage flooding 2 times, right? And life happens, and it's easy to get off balance. Those times, it's more excusable, I guess I could say, because your focus now gets directed into something that's a catastrophe. That's those of you that have had coronavirus or have it right now and are in a hospital, you're in a totally different situation than the working women who can't go back to work and they're at home watching the news. We go through stages, we go through seasons. And part of being resilient is that when you're up here and you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden, woo, you have to have tools in place, strategies in place, people, a support group, God, of course, number one, to help you slowly creep back up, okay, so that you don't stay down there. And you could move forward and you could start climbing up again. And then shortly after a while, you're up here, and then something else is going to happen. That's called life. That's called life. And as long as you know that, and you have the tools to overcome it, which we do, some of us don't. We need help from others. We need a support system. We need a life coach. We need a therapist. Whatever it is you need, get what you need. Because we are going to face those times. I'm in it now. And as much as I want to do what I was doing before, I can't. Well, I could a little bit, but not to the degree that I was doing it, because now my attention is on something else, which is getting my home back in order, figuring out where I'm going to live, what's going to happen. All those things take a lot of mental energy. So the goal is balance, and she starts off with work and play. How many of you play? I'm not good at playing. I will tell you, my brother, who I dearly love, he tells me all the time, he says, sis, you got to play more. I'm really a workaholic, which I'm not proud of. I just love what I do, and I love to work. I've always been very hardworking, even when I was a homemaker. Homeschooling 3 kids for 13 years, and, being a little Martha Stewart, I worked very, very hard. And now that I'm in the workforce again, after separating 7 years ago and divorcing 2.5 years ago, I have no choice but to work really hard to pay my bills because I'm on my own. And but I've always worked hard, and I don't play as much. That I need to work on, so I'll put a little note here, because play is just as important. Some of us might think it's a waste of time, and it's not. It absolutely is not. The balance between giving and receiving, that means, I've had people reach out to me to help me in different ways, and I'm so thankful, and I receive help. I also give help at different times. And being strong enough to accept help, to say, yeah, sure, They offered, hey, yeah, could you come over and help me with this or help me with that? And ask for what you need. That's important. And to be balanced, not just give or not just receive, but be balanced. We also need balance in thought and feelings. Okay? If we live only by every single thing we think every day and feel every day, we're going to really be off balance, because not all our thoughts are correct and not all our feelings are correct. So we have to be careful with that. And of course, balance between your physical self and your spiritual self. And I sure hope that during this time, people are calling out to God. A lot of people call out to God during the bad times, but then God doesn't hear from them for years during the good times. He wants to hear from us every day, during the good times, during the bad times. And if there's ever a time to call out to God, it is now. Everything around us is crumbling. And God is really the only one that could give you what you need. Your spouse can't do it, your best friend can't do it, your mom can't do it. God is the one that could give you what you need. So I hope you're doing that. And now for the parts that, and of course, taking care of your physical self is taking the proper precautions with the coronavirus. That's still out there. I know there's a lot of rioting and chaos happening. But the coronavirus didn't say, oh, okay, I'll excuse myself since there are riots going on. No, the coronavirus is still killing people. So have balance with how you take care of your body, those around you. When you wear a mask, you're protecting those around you. You're thinking of others, as well as protecting yourself. And, of course, balance with your spiritual life. And then here I underlined all the different areas that she listed that you should be balanced in. So friends, think about that. Are you a friendly person? Do you have friends? If you don't, ask yourself why. What is it that's preventing you from having friends? If you lack trust because you've been hurt and burnt by friends, I get it. I've experienced that as well. There are good people in the world, so keep in mind that there are still many good people in the world. When people hurt us and hurt us badly, it's easy to get into the frame of mind that everybody's bad, everybody is evil, and you don't want to tear down that wall to make some friends. But I think it's a very good idea. And if you go on my Facebook page, I did a little 2-minute video for another organization, Women World Leaders, on loneliness. And one of the things I mentioned there, if you're lonely, is hook up with some people via Zoom, via the internet, on Eventbrite. Eventbrite has a lot of virtual self-help programs that are really good. Even life coaches right now, some of them are doing things at a very low cost. Some of them are even free. And you could connect with some like-minded people, get some help for yourself, and make some friends. Also, meetups.com. There are different clubs, different things, people with different interests and hobbies that you could connect with now virtually, that you could also do to try to make some friends. All right? Work. Many of us are out of work right now. I'm one of them. But you need to be balanced with your work too. One of the many reasons I left the teaching profession is because my life was very unbalanced when it came to being a teacher, because when you're a teacher, your life is consumed with that. And that's all you do. I mean, you do it in the morning, at night, all day, on the weekends. Teachers really don't get a whole lot of time off. And even when they do, like in the summer, or the weeks that kids are off at Christmas and spring break and Thanksgiving, things like that, there are classes they have to take. That's what people don't realize. There's always classes, new software they have to learn, all kind of deadlines. It's just a pretty life-consuming job. And I was not balanced at all with my work. Are you balanced with love? You know, are you giving love? Are you getting love back? Are you receiving love back? Family. During times like this, it's easy to create family problems or fix family problems. And the family problems could get easily worse if you don't work on the issues. This might be a good time to talk about some things that have hurt you, things that need healing, things that you're confused about, that you could just pick up the phone and say, hey, I was thinking about this the other day. If you could answer this for me, it will really bring healing into my life. Let's see how we could bring the family closer together. Even in divorce, I mentioned the story last week. The lady that took in her ex-husband with his new wife, with her children, with her ex-husband. She took them into her house for them to be safe from the coronavirus. What an example. And example of a person who's not holding bitterness and cares about people. And, you know, this is a good time for that. Play. Be balanced with play. And how do you like to play? Any of you listening, type in the comments. What are some ways that you play? I play by going to the beach. That's my favorite way to relax. I haven't done it this year yet. It won't be a while before I do it. And I like to do different forms of exercise. I like to dance. That's my way of playing. I don't relax a lot. That's just not me. I'm very high strung. But relaxing could be a form of play. Then with your private time, are you balanced? Do you have time to yourself? That's one thing I regret all my years as a homemaker and all the years homeschooling. One of my regrets is that I really didn't make a whole lot of time for myself. Yeah, codependents do that. So think about that. Recovery time. That's when you work on yourself. Of course, you know, this is based, a lot of her principles are based out of the 12 steps, which are excellent. I love the 12 steps from Alcoholics Anonymous. And are you dedicating time for recovery? Recovery on the work you're doing in your life, the self-help you're getting, either by yourself or with others, with a therapist, with a life coach. Are you dedicating time and money to those things? Okay, because what you value, you will do. Also, spiritual time. That's very important. Spiritual time. How much time are you spending reading God's Word, praying, meditating? Not just reading it, but meditating on the specifics of what you're reading. That's very important. All right, guys, this has been a great one. With the prayer, at the end it says, today I will examine my life. And that's one of the 12 steps, actually, where you stop and you reflect where you went wrong. Okay, so do that now with this passage, with this reflection on being balanced. Do some inventory. Take inventory. Examine your life and list all those out on a piece of paper. And put a percentage by them, like what percentage is work taking from my life? What percentage is my spiritual life? What percentage is my playtime? And see how you could balance it a little bit more. I understand that with work, you know, we work 40 hours a week, 40 plus hours a week. So that's going to take a good chunk of your percentage. But it can't take the rest of your life. You know, it can't be your whole life. That's not good. All right? And then I wrote, have you swung too far to one area or not too far to the other? I will work toward achieving balance. That's beautiful. I love that. I'm actually going to do that today, even though I have a lot of things I have to do. I take these reflections to heart, and I am going to, as soon as I'm done with you here, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write all those out again. Here they go, if you want to write them down. Friends, work, love, family, play, private time, recovery time, spiritual time. 8 areas. Write them down and reflect. Take some time to reflect. Write it in your journal. Write it on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter, guys. Write it wherever you could write it and meditate on it. Reflect on it and see what changes you can make to tweak some things, because when we get off balance, we don't even realize it. Okay? Others could probably see it, but you know, we have blind spots and we don't even realize we're off balance in those areas. So this was really good. I'm going to put my little, not going to cheat. I'm not going to see what the next one is. Even though I get tempted, I'm not going to do it. All right, if you want to order this book, it's called The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie. Comes in all kind of languages. Very good book. Please take time to visit my website at www.mymomentlc. If you would like a complimentary 30-minute coaching session with me of just seeing what I do, learning about your situation, seeing if we could be a good fit for each other, feel free to call me, email me. All the information is on my website. And share this with anyone you think that is a little bit off balance or could bless them in some way. And I hope you have a great day, great week. I will see you again on Thursday. God bless and take care. Bye.